How do you manage to do 3 series at one time? Do you
Well,
sleep?
yes, no, actually, that is my rule. Is I make sure I get enough sleep so that I stay sane enough to do it. So everybody has to, unfortunately for them, adapt to my schedule, and I'm a night person, so they're all screwed. I'm like, if I'm writing till 6, you're not going to see me till 1 in the afternoon, and so they have to work around that. But Caroline Dries worked so hard over the last 4 years and is so smart, and was starting to write scripts last year that I would read and be like, this is better than anything I would have done, dude. So she's got a really strong sense of how to keep Vampire, the mothership, really moving while I supervise and I help her, and I'm right there. Our offices are the same right now, where we just blew out a wall. And then Nardici, who I brought over from Vampire Diaries, just was born to write this show. So he's such a great support system. And then, of course, Greg Berlanti is a master of anything he does. And so for Tomorrow People, I'm like, hey guys, is there anything I can do? Like, oh, not today? Great, good, because I got some other shows I got to worry about. So they're doing a tremendous job over there.
So what kind of tweaks did you make to the originals that's going to kind of accelerate the storyline for this new season?
We definitely get to have our fun where we get to retell the first episode when we get into October and kind of reset the stage. But then we jump forward and we bring Rebecca into town and we just start unraveling the history of Marcel, New Orleans, and this family, and what they all meant to each other and how. And it instantly gives us an extra layer of mystery and intrigue and romance, and it lets us launch right into a very rich sort of operatic world that I think people will really respond to. I hope people will really respond to.
Will the mythology of the originals tie directly in with the Vampire Diaries as far as like the witches and the vampires? And will they, be the same world?
It's every time we come up with something that we've already established in Vampire Diaries, we'd say, do we want to keep this rule exactly the same, or do we want to modify it? And if we decide to modify it, we come up with a reason why in this particular community it's modified, even if it's subtle. For example, the witches. In Vampire Diaries, it's all about spirit magic. In the originals, it's all about ancestral magic, which is a term that we made up. But basically, the idea of that what they worship is their own bloodline, and in these cemeteries, it's just generations upon generations of their own dead, which the spirits and the power of those witches just lingering. So the witches are able to draw power from that, but if they were to walk away from that, they wouldn't have anything to draw power from. So they'd basically just be tarot card readers and herb growers. They don't have the same sort of direct access to the spirit magic world like they do in Vampire.
Are they going to draw on any kind of the voodoo history of New Orleans and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we obviously started when we started breaking the story. We looked at a lot of voodoo research, and we took a lot of our iconographic images in our head from Marie Laveau and especially the offerings at the cemetery and all that stuff. The whole sequence was me being so thrilled by those cemeteries in New Orleans. Then we were very careful to take, and then the salt spells and everything, we were very careful to take the spirit of voodoo and yet not call it voodoo and not bastardize it, and not wanting to be disrespectful to that religion, which is so powerful and so important to so many people, and to the idea that we don't know enough about it. It would be very, very foolish and irresponsible for us to try to emulate that too much, but it is absolutely the inspiration. Thank you.
Plus, you don't want to make them mad.
Plus, you don't want to make them mad. Oh, yes.
Last question.
You mentioned Rebecca. Is there any chance we'll see Matt Donovan coming to see
I would love to see Matt Donovan on the originals, or I would love to see Rebecca back in Mystic Falls with Matt Donovan. I mean, for sure. He's charming the pants off everybody. I think that ultimately, and I say this, and it's half a joke, but when it all comes down, if an actor doesn't show up for a good story, it's their fault, not ours. Because I think we actually have really good ideas for how to occasionally pepper in great crossover opportunities, not for sweeps or not for stunts, but truly because there's this history of these characters that we really want to get to play with. So we shall see.
All right.